Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the great webinar of a positive energy districts. We are going to talk about why positive and clean energy districts matter today. I have great panel of experts with me here today. But we also know that a lot of the attendees are experts in the field and on positive energy districts. So please do not hesitate and engage with the panel. We are here for discussing, we are here for learning, and we are here for sharing all the knowledge. Next slide. Today we have the representatives of the 5 positive energy districts projects. You will hear from the speakers from Ascent, from Neutral Path, from Biped, from Tips for Ped, and from Expedite. And on the next slide, you will see actually all of the speakers because they are not only experts in positive energy districts, they are also city experts. We have Philippe Fournon from Bluesite. We have Etienne Vignali from SPL Lyon Confluence. We have Daniel Hedari from the city of Budapest. We have Pavel Kogut from Digital Resilience Institute, Valdis Ratniks from Riga Energy Agency, Cecilia Sanz Montalvillo from Cardiff, Paula Vega from 3 O'Clock, Beryl Alpagut from Demir Energy, Benedetta Barti from Rena Consulting, and Agnese Branca from Links Foundation. My name is Veronica Surna. I'm from 20, and I will be guiding you throughout the whole webinar. Next one. So we are going to talk about first and foremost, why are we all here? Why this combination of projects, and why are we talking about positive energy districts? There has been a lot of projects already before. You can look at the next slide. That have started the community of projects from 2014, and many of the representatives today have been involved in one way or another in any of these projects. Over time, it has actually changed as to where we are looking, whether we are looking at the smart cities and communities, or now we are more moving into building actually integrated positive energy districts. And so the last wave of projects is what you have a representation of here. Where they are actually, each one of them is building a positive or positive clean energy district in their cities. Next one. You also have the representatives of cities here. Originally in Scalable Cities, there were 134 unique cities, and all the learnings that have been already started back 10, 12 years ago are being transformed and transferred today into building new innovative solutions across Europe. We want to actually look at why and how all of the pilots are now being scaled up across Europe. What are the tools that help us, and how can we actually design them into positive energy districts? Next one. The EU target, it was to build 100 positive energy districts by 2025. And we have looked at everything from FP6 and FP7 projects in high performance buildings to net zero buildings until that has actually moved into positive energy districts. Today, as we will see on the next slide, we are going to focus a lot more on the tools that are enabling the positive energy districts, because we have the representatives here from the projects that actually implement a lot of the digital tools. Next one. We have, as I said, Ascent and Neutral Path that focus a a lot more on taking the pilots and scaling them up across their cities, as we will hear a bit later today from Lyon, Dresden, and Zaragoza examples. And they also, among others, apply the technology solutions. Technology solutions, however, in those projects is more as a part of the whole stack of solutions that are being implemented to build a full district. We also have biped tips for PED and expedite. They are looking at how to plan and operate a positive energy district enabled by digital solutions. And so you will hear a lot more about how we can actually build digital twins. What are the decision-making processes that can be helped by the digital twins, and how can actually cities help accelerate building positive energy districts through digital technology? All of the projects are focusing on not only building pilots, but really looking at replication and scaling up. And I know that a lot of the attendees here might want to also hear how you, our panelists, are today focusing on the best way of scaling up and the quickest way of scaling up of the positive energy districts. Next. So first we have Ascent, and we have the representative from Ascent, Philippe Fournon. Maybe you can just present a bit briefly about what is Ascent and what is the core idea behind it.
Okay, thank you very much, Veronica. So we are a project with 8 cities. 2 are Lighthouse, Lyon, and Munich. They are developing PCED, Positive Clean Energy District, and 6 of them are multiplier cities. They are doing small experiment to start and to bootstrap a positive clean energy district. The project is organized around 6 package solutions. We have named them like that, which are a bundle of solutions concurring to the same objective. You got, of course, digital tools. We have also intervention on energy communities, which is a growing solutions today. We work on buildings, efficient building, sorry, and renewable. We have energy grids and mobility, and on top of that, what we call a urban orchestrator, which means an organization which is capable to assemble these different solutions and to steer the project. That's Ascent.
Thank you, Philippe. Next one. We have Biped and Pavel.
Hello, Veronica, and hello, everyone, dear guests. It's a pleasure to be here. A few words about Biped. We have a pilot city in Aarhus. It's a mission city that received its mission label 1 year. And like all mission cities, it has this unwavering commitment to climate neutrality that I would say goes back many decades, at least year 2009, when 7 Aarhus statements were formulated to manage transition beyond Kyoto. But reaching climate neutrality is easier said than done. What does climate neutrality mean for Aarhus? It means neutralizing 1.3 million tons of CO2 equivalent emissions spread between transport industry, and a few other sectors. And there is no single solution that can help city reach this goal. It has to be a policy mix, a variety of measures. The city recently did a calculation modeling a few different scenarios, and they concluded that business as usual, if they just continue with the old business as usual scenario, they will miss that target by 800,000 CO2 emissions. So something needs to change. New things need to be tried and tested. And among these new things that they are testing is the positive energy district in the area of Bradburn, which you can see on your left. But to model a positive energy district is equally challenging because you have to consider a range of factors, parameters, especially a district like Bradburn, which has the different land users, transportation, a lot of open spaces, and decision makers in Aarhus have turned to a digital twin for help, and they're using it as a kind of decision support tool for planning a positive energy district, the first of its kind in the city. So in a nutshell, this is what Biped is doing for Aarhus.
Thank you, Pavel. You can tell us something more about neutral path in general.
Thank you, no worries. For Naturopath, actually today I'm going to present one of the tools that we have developed for realizing positive and clean energy districts in the project in all cities, in lighthouse cities, Dresden and Zaragoza, and also in all 3 fellow cities, Istanbul, Ghent, and Vantaa. So this tool, it helps for the cities for their supporting their decision making on identification of the technologies in their identified PCED areas. So first of all, for the replication and upscaling activities, we identified PCED areas, potential PCED areas in all these cities, and with this through this tool, hopefully we will identify the proper technologies, not just technical ones, but also non-technical solutions for the cities to realize PCEDs in their identified area. If we can check the slide, maybe without animation, Marek would also work, because I would like to mention about the methodology behind the tool. Oh, it works. Perfect. So this tool, as I said, is for the supporting decision-making route for selecting the technical and non-technical solutions for the identified PCED areas, which is consisting of 5 steps. The first step is that you identify the ambition level of your PCED area. It can be just climate neutrality, or you can also specialize your purpose, your ambition on circularity, air quality, self-sufficiency, or electrification, even electrification. And then first you identify the ambition level of the PCED air districts, and then you, with the questions in the tool, it directs you to link you with the technological packages that you see on the left side now. For example, this is one of the technology packages for high air quality districts you see. And then, so there's a catalog behind this tool that which is consisting of several different technologies. The third step is the evaluation of these technologies, of your identified technologies, with barrier and enabler analysis, which helps the city to understand if this technology really fits to their district context or not, in terms of economic, social, political, legal, or technical aspects. Then, based on the barrier analysis, of course, if it doesn't fit to your city district, then you go back to the technology package identification previous step. And afterwards, we try to build scenarios like the one you see on the left side, a package like this. For example, this is the red boundary, identifies the geographical boundary of your district. As far as I see here, it's the main ambition level is a high air quality district, and it's consisting of different buildings as apartment blocks, single family houses, offices, etc. But it cannot the district may not have, cannot have actually industrial purpose building uses because of the high air quality district that you identified at the beginning. And then it builds the scenario for you based on the building uses and their existing technologies, let's say. As a last step, we calculate the annual energy balance to understand whether we are really achieving the positivity, the annual energy balance, surplus of annual energy balance or not. So hopefully we are now, we had this tool for PED implementations before, planning and implementation of PEDs before. Now we are updating the tool for PCED concept, where we consider also the clean energy concept with new technologies, and solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beryl, and I'm very glad that we managed to make it run in the end. Thank you, Marek, as well. Next one. We have Expedite, and so we have Valdis to tell us a bit more about Expedite.
Hello, everybody. Nice to be here. Expedite is a bundle of measures, and we are building a positive energy district in campus of Riga Technical University, which is in Riga, and we are developing a lot of tools which could easily, I would describe as zooming in from a first perspective, which is a flight over the city, where we can see all the buildings of the city, and then coming down to the district and up to the your working place, showing temperatures, energy consumption, and air quality. Data in your working place, and additionally we are developing a tool which helps to engage users of energy in these buildings where the sensors are placed. We are implementing gamification theory into this tool, and we try to develop these tools that the city of Riga can use for other districts to use in the future to determine best strategies for positive energy districts. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have Agnese from Tips for Pet.
No, I can go. I'm Benedetta Barchi from Rina Consulting. I will give you a brief overview of the Tips for Pet project, and then I will leave the floor to Agnese then to deep dive in the city perspective. Tips for Pet project is composed by the 17 partners across 7 countries, and the main mission of the project is to develop and test a digital twin-based platform to support the municipalities and the involved stakeholder in the process of implementation of positive energy districts. And basically the platform is divided in 3 main phases that follows the different step of the implementation and development of positive energy districts. Of course, this idea of the project came out from the different barriers and drivers that were identified in the cities before the project starts, such as the lack of technical support, the lack of financial and local incentives, and also a lack of social acceptance about this concept. This integrated assessment platform will be tested in the lighthouse of the project. It is Turin in Italy, and then also replicated in the 3 follower cities that are Cork, Budapest, and Kozani. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benedetta. And I'm also then eager to hear about the city perspectives. As I said, as a part of the process and the piloting, we have cities that are actually implementing each one of the solutions that have been mentioned by our panels. Before we started this webinar, I have asked each one of them to actually look at the concrete challenge that is the city addressing every time. What are then the tools, since we are talking about the digital technology and digital tools, what are the concrete tools that they are able to apply, and how does it help actually to develop a positive and clean energy district? And whether there were any barriers that they had to overcome in implementing any of the solutions, and if they have any good practices to actually help other cities to overcome the barriers quicker or avoid them at all, and maybe to move faster and replicate faster the solutions that we will see shortly. So we can hear from our speakers. Next one. We have Etienne from Lyon Confluence.
Good afternoon, everyone. So indeed, we are implementing a positive and clean energy district within a larger urban project that you see on the picture. I think one of the key element or key feature is the fact that when we designed the PCED, we didn't start out of the blue, and we design some of the features, new construction, building renovation, public spaces, digital twin, renewable energy, based on actual project done recently or actual project that has a significant chance of becoming a reality in a short period of time. So for all these features, we try to have a regular back and forth between stakeholders involved at the different phases, meaning design phase or works phase or exploitation phase. And also to work in parallel on the replication, both at very local level in the same neighborhood, but also at local level at a larger area, working closely with the Greater Lyon Authority, the whole urban area, on integrating some of the features and developing some of the feature elsewhere in parallel of the implementation of the PCED, in order that we can support and keeping in mind that whether we talk about building or about new neighborhood, it's always takes several years before becoming a reality, and it's important to start to work on replication while the initial PCED is not fully finished and not all the lessons learned are not fully available.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Etienne. And we have also Daniel from Budapest. As we have discussed already, you've explained that the pilots are first showcasing the solutions, and then we have also multiplier cities that are following and implementing what the pilots have done. So, Daniel, please.
Yeah, thank you, Veronica. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm from the municipality of Budapest, and today I brought the example of our sensitivity modeling. I'm just rawly translating this from Hungarian, so I hope it fits in English as well, but I'll explain. So the issue I'm addressing with this is the lack of data that most of us are facing in cities, from whatever aspect, being it frequency to accuracy, whether when the data was collected, GDPR issues. And for example, in our cases, one of the biggest one is that we finding it very difficult to gather data from private big consumers in the area of our PCED. Therefore, we cannot calculate accurately and derive the results from that. So we are left with trying to model the area, and we looked at how we can still extract the valuable information from this modeling process. And we decided to do this sensitivity modeling, where we aim to find those characteristics of the building stock or specific buildings that, if we change, has the potential to either have a very high possible impact for the future development of PED, or have a very good cost-benefit ratio, or it just being, let's say, a low-hanging fruit, whether from a monetary perspective or political or whatever. So this would allow us to, even with the lack of data and uncertainty of data, to reach a somewhat relevant and reliable information that we can build on in the future. So trying to make the best out of that situation. And as Veronica said, this is just one approach to the many barriers we are facing, but I thought it would be interesting to share.
Thank you very much, Daniel. It was indeed very interesting to showcase how you are trying to overcome some of the barriers in Budapest. And I also want to hear from Biped and Aarhus. Pavel, please. What about your digital twin?
Yes, Veronica, we call it digital twin, but actually it's a platform with 4 interconnected elements. It's a data platform with data space characteristics. It has a model coordinator, which allows traffic model, energy model, building occupancy model, etc., to talk to each other. And then we also have a 3D environment based on CTGML, but not everything in digital twin needs to be 3D. You can do some analysis and simulations in 2D just as well. So we have those dashboards too, and that's the diagram you see in the bottom right corner. And what we wanted to do in Bybit is we wanted to make our digital twin as relevant as possible for the different stakeholders in Aarhus. So we try to design those use cases really based on what stakeholders and end users want to have to support their decision making. So, for example, in the top left corner, what you see is a screen with a few different elements. So first of all, we have a data layer that shows what are the energy heating sources for the different buildings in Aarhus. And so you can see if they're connected to district heating, which is mostly the case because about 90% of all buildings are connected to district heating in Aarhus. But you have a few buildings that have central heating and several of those that are running on heat pumps. So now imagine that you want to install solar panels on one of these buildings, whether you're a resident or maybe you are an owner of a workshop or a warehouse, or maybe you're a public authority looking to install photovoltaics on the roof of a public library. How do you know if such investment will be worth it? So what you can do with our digital twin is you can go and launch the solar module. Then you will be able to see the different heating sources. And then on top of that, you can launch the solar calculator, where for each building you would enter certain characteristics. So if it's a residential house, how many people live there? Do they have an electric vehicle? Do they have a battery? What's their average energy consumption in a month, in a year? And if they're planning to install solar panels, are they taking out a loan? How much? For what period of time? And then the system will be able to calculate for you, based on the input parameters that you've entered, whether such investment will be worth it, whether eventually you will generate a surplus or you will be in red, and as well as calculating financial profit or loss. It will also calculate environmental benefits. So how much CO2 you will able to reduce by using your own solar panels rather than using energy from the grid. So that's the top left screenshot. In the bottom is a screenshot of our traffic module. We wanted to do something on traffic because, as I mentioned in my previous intervention, transport accounts for nearly half of all emissions in Aarhus. So really, Aarhus cannot decarbonize and achieve its objectives unless transport is decarbonized. And at the same time, the Bradburn district, where the city wants to establish PED, there's a lot of going on. A lot of buildings are being renovated, and also there are plans to build a new light rail connection to other districts in the city. So clearly, transport and traffic would need to play a significant role in PED planning. We developed a traffic module where you can see traffic information for the entire city. And then you can also zoom in on the Bradburn district specifically. And let's say if imagine the construction of that light rail has begun. You can play with the simulation to close certain streets that would be affected by the construction and see how it would affect traffic in nearby areas. You can play around with policy measures like speed limits, so you can reduce or decrease speed limits in certain areas and see how this would affect traffic in other areas, as well as energy consumption. And you can also see the impact on air quality. Aarhus has NO2 sensors spread across the city, so you can see this real-time data and incorporate it into your traffic modeling to get this well-rounded, holistic view of the impact of your measures. So these are just some of the use cases that we're working on that are captured in these screenshots that you have in front of you.
Thank you very much, Pavel. That was very interesting, and I'm glad that we get to hear about it a bit more also in the questions and answers later. But now, without further ado, we have Valdis and Riga.
Yes, hello again. So Riga have to boost boost development of district heating. We are not so far as Aarhus. We are just about 60% covered by district heating in Riga. So a lot of our areas in Riga are still underdeveloped in regards of district heating. That's why it is very important for us to develop and expedite this building energy model, which we will use in a city as a guide for our district heating company to showing areas where district heating development is most feasible and available. We have to decarbonize our gas boilers in the buildings where citizens of Riga are deciding to change them, and using these tools which we are developing now, we will show them the best way and available technologies for each of the building of the Riga, which are available for each building to switch from gas-fueled boilers to renewable energy sources. So that's completely in short. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Valdis. And we also have Zaragoza and Dresden that will be presented by Cecilia.
Thank you, Veronica. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, in Zaragoza and Dresden, that are the two cities from Notre Dame, we have faced the PCED in social housing framework. Both cities has considered these districts as relevant for including these aspects and social poverty and energy poverty questions on the climate neutral achievements. In both sides are faced with this process, but it started from different points. In Zaragoza has started from the building necessities and ensuring the living condition of the people inside. And in Dresden, district heating that was familiar there is decarbonizing this district heating has been the main achievement. And both different tools that we have created or used for replication, as was presented by Beryl before. Also, we have needed to create a framework, climate neutral labs in our cities, and create solutions for making the people to understand what we are going to implement there. So the different games used for the people has been important for overcome some of the barriers that we have in this digital, the social aspect ones. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecilia. And finally, the long-awaited Agnese, and she will tell us more about the Torino digital tools.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, exactly. I'm going to talk about the implementation of the digital tools from the prepared in Turin, which is also the lighthouse of the project. So I'm going to walk you through the work that we carried out by using this image, where in the center you can see the map of the city, and you can also see some 3 enclosed lines, and those represent the perimeters of 3 different districts. So the red one is the main one. You can also see it enlarged on the top left picture. It's the main district on which the project focuses on. And the other 2 were just other 2 districts, other areas in a different context in the city used for comparison of the results. So the project supports different phases with different level of details. And they are feasibility, design, and operation. And you can see the results in the other 3 corner images in this picture. So these results are all computed by a platform called the Integrated Assessment Platform. And this platform handles the simulation of the different phases and of different scenarios. So on the top right image, we see the main result of the feasibility phase, which provides a label that serves as an indicator of the readiness of a district to become energy positive, combining different aspects. And we have a label regarding energy and one regarding GHG emissions. Then on the bottom right corner, we see a 3D modeling of the district, and this was performed during the design phase. And the design phase evaluates the energy efficiency measures that should be implemented through a digital twin and establishes an intervention roadmap basing on the results given by the digital twin. And then in the bottom left corner, we see a dashboard that is used to monitor the district's performance, also during the last phase, which is the operational one. And in this phase, we also care about optimizing the energy management and the energy surplus. And we track the performances based, comparing them to the roadmap from the second phase. So the platform and its single modules are currently being tested in Turin for refinement, and then they will be made available for the follower cities of the project. And in fact, concerning replicability, the project also works towards it thanks to the definition of some guidelines and through a dissemination process. So let's now get into some challenges that we face. So one of the main one is of this approach is the vast amount of data from different sources and from different actors. And these data need to be standardized and integrated. And this happens particularly in big cities like Turin, for example. So to solve this issue, the platform uses a semantic interoperability layer that enables the data interchange and interoperability and makes it feasible to gather many inputs from various sources and to produce an output that is aggregated and easily comprehensible. Then another challenge is the engagement of citizens and stakeholders and the acceptance of measures related to energy savings. And in Turin, we address this by engaging the population with voluntary workshops, with gamification events, surveys, and distribution of some smart meters that were used both to monitor the household's energy use, but also to make the citizens feel more part of the process. So yeah, in conclusion, the platform is able to analyze the buildings and mobility, energy consumption, renewable production, emissions, and also citizens' acceptance of the new implemented measures, and compute aggregated outputs that give city an evidence-based support to their decisions. So the PED approach is in fact very helpful in addressing many aspects of cities' needs, all within one common framework that helps prioritizing the intervention that are the best fit for the city's needs.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Anissa. That was very interesting, and I'm sure that there are also people in our attendees that would like to know more. So before we go into the next session or next part of the session, maybe there is questions in from the audience, from the attendees. Is there something that you would like to ask our cities or our project representatives? Would you like to potentially explain something a bit better that you have just heard? Or is there something else that you would like to know about? You can share your questions and now or even throughout the whole webinar in the chat window, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you. It seems like we have no questions so far. but potentially I think our audiences are a bit shy. So let's just get into the discussions with me so far. And maybe they will be less shy in the next period. So we talked a lot about the fact that we have here cities that are usually piloting, they're the lighthouse cities, they're piloting solutions, but we also need to, at some point in the project, deliver a PCED or PED. And the time is always ticking. How do we actually do that quickly? How can we do that not only quickly, but how can we also do that at scale? Because the point is not only the one single PED or PCED that you are building, but the point is to actually have them as much as possible across Europe. We already had a goal of 100 PEDs in 2025. I think the goal for 2030 is a lot more ambitious. So how can we actually accelerate the PED deployment and replication? I have here Etienne Vignali from Lyon Confluence. And I would like you to talk about a bit more the replicability of the models of Ascent and what you are building in Lyon. What is what is your experience? What is the difference on how do you actually design the PED in Lyon, and how can you make it so that it then can be scaled across either other districts or other cities?
If I take one feature or important feature of the PCED, that's the building part, and in particular the new construction with high environmental performance. Actually, the economic context is quite different several years after the beginning of the implementation of the PCED. Because we have been hit by important crisis in the real estate sector. So I would say that first, having a PCED that becomes a reality and working on a PCED that is replicable and scalable elsewhere necessitated in our case to adapt our methodology to work more closely and at the early phases on the issue of construction costs and to work on the different dimension of new construction, so environmental performance, urbanism, construction costs, in order that not working on the construction cost and the financial aspect against the environmental performance, but more as a tool to secure the business model of the project and to make sure that whatever the ambition of the future of the PCED, it becomes a reality and it's feasible. So I would say that in our case, we adapt the methodology and we try to work more closely with the real estate developer on this dimension of construction costs.
Thank you very much, Etienne. What about though the governance that is needed to actually ensure that the PCED gets replicated? Are there any good business models that can make it beyond the pilot phase? Philippe.
That's a 1 billion question, I'm afraid. Of course, we are testing some business model which are mostly one related to energy, I will say, as a services. The idea is to, let's say, avoid to the household to invest upfront, but to provide the services that can be, let's say, invoiced to the household depending on the effective use of the thing. But that's not easy. We have to, the business model have to bundle different aspects, different things. One of them is, of course, energy and energy productions. So we are talking about mostly PV, of course. Second one is to try to get the best buildings we can have, of course, in terms of energy consumption. And sometimes there's on top of that energy communities where you got one organization to organize the exchange in terms of energy flow. So it's working at pilot scale. Would it be possible to deploy at another scale? That's a challenge that many of our pilot projects are facing today. And that's a bit a chicken and egg problem. We do not have, for the moment, the scale needed to really lower the cost. But to get the scale to lower the cost, you still need to get more results of the pilot project. So in a way, the cities might have a role to probably try to expand the market by trying to address more positive energy district or more district, because positive is maybe not the best things to do or most important thing to do. And that's not easy because it's really required to have an effective planning in terms of district. And that's really required to, let's say, have a range of investment around 100 to 500 million euro for each district. It's a bit the size we are reaching today when we are calculating the cost of PCD in the different cities. So there is business model. The question is how to, let's say, trigger a more scalable market.
I think that is the 1 million question. How do we actually ensure that that is all going to be scaled and that it creates a whole scalable market?
And just maybe to answer the question or not to answer the question in the chat, it's true that positive energy districts are not totally focused on transportation, because transportation, usually the people who are working in transportation are working at the city level. But still, we have actions in terms of transportation. The first one is, of course, decarbonization with EV, with chargers that can also provide energy at some times in the day or in the night. We have also actions which are not related to transportation, but are here to, let's say, improve public spaces, and particularly to encourage, let's say, slow mobility modes such as e-bikes, walking, and things like that. So we are not totally focused, but that's part of the PCED.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Philippe. Would someone else like to add to the aspect of transport? If not, then I would like to hear a bit more from Pavel about the integrated planning, because you are building the digital twins and they are not exactly easy to manage on a scale. So how do you ensure that everything is well organized through a digital twin at the district scale? And how can you actually make them relevant for all of the stakeholders?
Thanks, Veronica. Yeah, so going back to that schematic, that diagram that I showed previously, the four components that we have, the data platform, the data space, the model coordinator, the 3D environment, the 2D environment. So they all have an equally important role to play. Obviously, the data platform aggregates and collects information from various static and dynamic sources, from various data owners. Kretslop, for example, is a district heating operator. So they are sharing their data with us, but they're sharing it in a way that only we can access. So we wanted to make sure that in our data space, we have the different sovereignty rules that will allow different data owners to set their own terms and conditions. In some data sets, you can go to our platform now and you can browse and download some data sets. But as well as some data sets there being open, some are closed and only meant to be used by a restricted number of users. So we want to make sure that we have the settings that will allow participants to share data sets publicly or only share them with designated parties. At the same time, we've implemented data catalog vocabulary IP standard for metadata sharing. So anyone, for example, who goes to Open Data Euro platform, because there they also implemented this DCAT IP standard for metadata, they will be able to find our data sets there, or references to our data sets there, because of this metadata standard that makes information more easily discoverable. So these were some of the key principles for us that we wanted to implement in our data platform, and we did that. Now, in terms of the model coordinator, models, they need data to be useful. And at the same time, models, they need to be able to talk to each other if you want to run cross-domain simulations. And so, for example, how does district heating affect occupancy patterns and vice versa? How changes in traffic affect air quality and energy consumption in transportation. So if you want models to talk to each other in your digital twin, again, there are certain standards that can be implemented to achieve that. In our case, the standard was OGC API standard, Open Geospatial Consortium standard, for ensuring that endpoints of the different models can share data with each other. So the output of one model becomes the input of another. And now moving on to the 3D environment, as I mentioned previously, there are some use cases where 3D is relevant, others where it is not so much. For example, with traffic, you don't really need 3D buildings. But for solar planning, for example, 3D is quite useful because you need to know, the roof surface, the angle at which it is positioned. So for solar planning, 3D models are quite useful, and we've implemented that in CityGML standard, which makes these dumb geometric models smart by transferring metadata to the 3D features. And so in a nutshell, when you're building a digital twin, make sure that it's interoperable, make sure that you cater to the needs and preferences of the different data owners, some of which will have no problem sharing data publicly, far and wide, but other data owners might want to share it only with certain stakeholders, so make sure you have some sovereignty principles embedded. And last bullet that you have there, making your digital twin relevant. So here, I guess it's the use cases and the apps that are relevant to address this point. I mentioned the solar planning app, which is relevant for energy community. Bradbrand, the pet district in Aarhus, they have a fairly new soul over Bradbrand, it's called, the energy community. And of course, for them, having access to a solar planner was extremely important. So we created that based on their needs. I mentioned traffic again, that's very important, but maybe for another stakeholder group, the city planners, who realize that they cannot achieve decarbonization without decarbonizing transport, which accounts for nearly 50% of emissions, which also tells us that transport is to a significant extent still running on fossil fuels in Aarhus. So how to make it relevant, how to make digital twin relevant for different stakeholders, understand the sort of challenges that they're facing and their needs, and then create use cases and applications that will help them address their needs, whether they're experts in the city or residents who are members of an energy community. So that's how I would answer these two questions.
Thank you, Pavel. And we have also Expedite, where we just heard about Aarhus, but we will go a bit deeper about also the solutions that are deployed in Riga. So there's concrete applications in Riga, Valdis, that I would like you to talk about. And is there anything that we are missing in connection of the financing models, the governance capacity, and all of these technical tools that we are deploying in PEDs? Do you have a good way of how to actually connect all three?
Short answer is no, we do not have, but we are trying to develop at least something. As I already mentioned, district heating development in Riga is very important, and decarbonization of decentralized heating systems in buildings is another one. And what Pavel previously mentioned, energy communities is actually the third one big topic which maybe connects this everything together, because by developing our tools we are looking on open districts that we can make fences about our districts as we wish. So let's say not the boundaries which are met by the city, but let's say if there are 2 or 3 buildings, they can make own district, and they maybe have easy possibilities to decide to make energy community, because we in our pilot city, not a city but district, there is only one owner. It's Riga Technical University, and it's very easy to take this decision by only one owner to do something, if there is wish, of course. But if we have 1,000 owners in some district, it's very difficult to find to come to decisions, and that's why we are developing our tools to show the buildings, show the districts, and potentially in the future connect these owners of the buildings in one space. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Valdis.
There is no financing, Veronica. I'm sorry, we do not have money.
Well, maybe you can ask some of our other panelists, and they can help you with finding what kind of business models that could be used for the application in Riga. That would be a very interesting discussion, I think.
Yep.
We can think about it for the questions and answers. I would now like to kind of move a bit the focus into stakeholders, because several of you have talked about the importance of involving stakeholders. Pavel, you have mentioned also that it's important to get people on board, citizens, and of course, especially when it comes to either using digital tools or applying a full positive energy district, it always influences the lives of citizens. So how do we actually how do we engage the citizens, and what tools and approaches can we use to do that? Paula.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, for neutral path, we've realized early in the project that the PCEDs, of course, are not just a technical challenge, but also we also need to support the cities with all the social and governance dimensions. So for this, we've developed some tools within the project that help the cities that are forming climate neutral labs, which are actually living labs. First, to help them structure decision making, and also once they've developed their structures, to, as you were saying, to engage with citizens and the communities that are as well affected by the project. So we have some tools. The first tool related to the decision makings is the governance model canvas, and it's a methodology that we developed within the project, and we did it together with the 5 cities, with the living labs, to help them structure on one side the strategic layer of the living lab, so the decision making, the leadership, the finance, and also the legal status, and also once they establish that, the operational layer, so how they manage the labs, how what working groups they form to make it actionable, and what are the stakeholder roles. So this tool has also helped the cities and helped us to identify different models. Each city has have identified their own governance model, and with this tool, we are also constantly reviewing and updating the model as the project is progressing. So it's also a live tool. We have it now in a digital format as well as an interactive, so it can be used by other cities. And then the other set of tools that we have developed more for citizen engagement, we are working with the cities on this as well. First is a board game, like a children board game called Energize, and this helped us because in open days and engagement with the citizens, it was a very approachable format for the citizens, and it was in a way explained in a way that is for kids, but also for adults to understand really what is a positive energy district and what are the implications and what are the measures. Other tools that we've developed as well for different community events is, for example, an interactive digital totem, where we are showcasing the different actions for the cities also in a visual way and explaining the measures to the citizens so they can explore what are they doing, what the cities are proposing at their own pace. So these are the examples of tools that we are developing in the project to cover these social and governance dimensions and to support the cities, and we keep evolving them and creating new ones as we progress on the project.
Thank you, Paula. Beryl, we talked a lot about now just how do we actually engage the citizens and how do we ensure that the stakeholders are on board. Before, Valdez has mentioned that there is no money. And we've also talked about a lot of the technical integration and the various tools and how they need to kind of be integrated. Where is it that the city has the biggest problems? Is it in the technical integration? Is it in finding the financing for replication? Is it in finding the best governance structure, or is it in the citizen engagement?
Wow. Yeah, Veronica, you're right. We have listened to different narratives from different projects, and what I still, I also still struggle, which is the most difficult aspect, So yeah, let's start with, I think it's more or less very balanced struggle between each aspect that are being mentioned here. For example, regarding technical integration, I see that the cities still struggle with technical integration because the standalone technologies they're in the market, but the systemic approach, the system definition of the technologies is still not easy for different cities representing different geographies, different climate contexts, and also of course also cultural context as well to accept these technologies, and also the existing infrastructures, technical infrastructures, and connecting to the existing, and also order transition, the energy transition that will be conducted to the existing infrastructure is still a problem for the technical integration, I think. Regarding governance, the cities, as far as I see, still struggle from which approach to adopt, whether it has to be a top-down approach, from let's say authority-led, or it has to be a bottom-up approach, like social-led, coming from the bottom levels. So I think at the end, a balanced structure consisting of top-down and bottom-up approaches is the most appropriate solution, which I witness in most of the cities. And regarding finance, yes, of course, as we listened, finance is everything. Everything is about it. And I still see that the cities struggle with the innovative definition of the innovative business models. They still have problems with mobilization of finances, especially in the big cities, in the metropolitan cities. I see this problem a lot, which they struggle a lot. Regarding data, also we also listened to Pavel, for the problems about data management and data planning as well. That the data-driven decision making has to be there to support the cities for their implementation of or replication of PCDs or PEDs, etc. There is still inconsistency between data owners, different departments of the cities, even city or municipalities, even. And finally, regarding citizen engagement, this is, of course, not just a technological transition. This has to be a social technological transition where you have to include all the owners, users, citizens in the implementation or in the planning, design stages as well. So the awareness raising has to be more in cities, and still they struggle with this as well, like how to do it, how to conduct it. Yes, we are trying several different methods like gamification. It works. Yeah, we listen to Paulo, it works. But it has to be enriched with several other tools, several other methodologies, maybe for awareness raising. And we need to create win-to-win situations, both for citizens and also for the authorities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Beryl. And I'm glad that you already also started a bit talking about what are the good methods, because I would like to ask now Benedetta about the replication. We discuss it quite a lot, and we do not actually we do not go so much into detail because it's not very easy to replicate, as we have stated several times for several reasons. So what does a city need in order to replicate? And can you copy some of the tools? Can you copy some of the methodologies? How do you scale a PED model? And since we're talking a lot about data and digitalization, is there something that can be actually standardized? And what if yes?
Okay, thank you, Veronica. Yeah, maybe I can start from the replication concept because from the experience gained during Tips for PED, I think that a city to replicate the concept and the methodology already developed in other city needs a clear understanding of its baseline local context and what it is present in the city at the moment about different sectors, so involving both the energy systems, the mobility part, the stakeholders involved, the governance structure, but also the data available and the data needed to replicate the concept and the methodology of the other cities. In fact, as you were mentioning in the question, replication is not only about copying the solution from one place to another, but trying to adapt all the principles and the methodologies to the local realities and the different context. And for example, in the Tips for PED project, we try to support this process by proposing some interoperable and modular tools that as output some common indicators that can be customized and used in a flexible way depending on the cities in which this tool is tested. And of course, since the platform of Tips for PED is based on the digital twin, the important aspect is that the digital twin is tailored and built for the specific cities. So by meaning it is developed for the specific context, so it is more easy than to test the tool and to develop the methodologies in the different context. And then regarding the standardization aspect, of course, I think that the different methodologies and especially the KPIs and the result should be standardized, as well as the data used to feed all the models. And for example, for the experience gained during the Tips for PED project, we are trying actually to standardize something because we have involved a standardization company that it will help us in standardizing some of the methodologies and ideas, but also some of the results into actual standards. So I think that it is very useful both for the project, but also for the upcoming project and future initiatives. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benedetta. Since we're started already talking about what are the respective tools and what is actually needed for replication, maybe we have some other questions from our audience with regards to the replication. Is there something that our attendees would like to ask the panel? Please don't be shy. We have a lot of experts here that is a good opportunity to actually ask them directly. And even though it's being recorded, do not worry, they will answer honestly. But it seems like we have a very shy audience today. Well, if there are any questions, do not hesitate to share them in the chat. And I'm going to ask you, Marek, to maybe then we will continue in the discussion about the replication. We already started discussing that a bit with Benedetta, but in the interest of time, let's ask a couple more of you. What does it really mean, the replication for PEDs? Can there be any replication of positive energy districts or positive and clean energy districts? How do we actually do that? And I'm going to ask first Beryl, but then I'm going to also ask others on the panel, Philippe, Cecilia, Pavel, Valdis, but also others that are there. Please do not hesitate to chip in. So, how do we move from one district to the 100?
I think this question is a little bit tricky in terms of unclarity behind it, because what we call as replication, are we referring to spatial, extension of positive energy districts, for example, from PEDs to like positive energy neighborhoods and then to city level, like in terms of spatial extension? This is not still also, for me also not clear yet. So because I think the cities are very complex, they are consisting of different, let's say, again, there can be an incentive in some part of the city. Okay, that is very good incentive to promote the, let's say, the deep retrofitting of the buildings there, which can be a very good opportunity for PET development. Yeah. So whereas in other part of the city there can be a good regulation, let's say a kind of a plan note or something for maybe transforming this area into more energy efficient area. There can be some people, let's say, in part of the city where they want to maybe form kind of a community together to reach maybe positivity in their area, to become a positive energy district, etc. Or what else? There can be some resources. Let's say resources are also not very well balanced in the city context, right? Geographically, let's say. So this is like there are some, maybe these can be evaluated as some niche points in each city, representing different contexts, which promote positive energy district demonstrations, implementations, or even replications in the cities. So in terms of spatial, let's say, a replication or extension of the boundaries, these kind of, identifying these kind of different models in different parts of the city should be identified. And it's very important. The identification is very important. And then maybe connecting them somehow with each other to extend the boundaries of districts, okay, the PET district. So, based on the experience that I witnessed in different cities, I think the community models, they are the most appropriate models that they work for replication of the PETs. So it's rather easier to learn from other district, other community, how they achieve this being together and generating energy together somehow, and self-consumption together, how it's like I said, perceived by the people, and then it's getting easier to replicate this kind of model in terms of, stakeholders involvement, etc. So as I said, in terms of spatial extension of the boundaries, you need to identify first the resources, the business models, the social models existing, or the new regulations, new planned nodes, etc. in the city, and somehow try to connect them through development of communities. I think this would be the best scenario that will work for moving from one district to many districts.
Thank you very much, Beryl. And I like the example of the energy communities. I would like to put on the spot either Etienne or Philippe, because I know that Etienne started talking also about what are the key elements for replicating the positive energy district that they are implementing in Lyon. And maybe there's something to add.
I don't know if I've got something to add right now. If I start from the topics I was raising, is the fact that replicating in context, whether geographical context or by targeting stakeholders that have really good chance or high chance to make project becoming a reality in a short period of time, or at least to trigger the concrete operational replication. So when I was saying that we have started to work on the replication on the Greater Lyon Authority, it's trying to combine official context or official opportunity. In our case, the ability to contribute and to be responsible for some task of the Greater Lyon Authority Climate Action Plan on dedicated task to replication, and also to find a proper several territories that are either that have significant urban project or urban renewable project able to integrate several dimension of our PCED, or just interested to integrate some dimension, and also targeting stakeholders that have close connection with the Greater Lyon Authority and close connection with some of the topics of the PCED or some of the topics of the Climate Action Plan.
Thank you very much, Etienne. And we have received a question from the audience. I think it was a follow-up also from what Beryl has mentioned. Is there a collaboration and learning between PEDs and energy communities? If I've understood it correctly, PEDs are driven by civil and governmental planning. Energy communities are driven by people who get together to make a change. However, the ultimate goal seems to overlap. So I would like to hear from the experts if the PEDs have explored the energy communities concept and whether there is any collaboration between the PED building and the energy community building. And I know that Philippe, you can already answer that. And
yeah, well, I can try, but I would not say there's a difference between PED and energy communities in terms of philosophy. Energy communities, one of the solutions that we are developing in the different cities. Some of them are really pushed by the local authorities because it's complicated to develop energy communities. Some others are more, let's say, citizen-driven, such as, for instance, the one we have in Stockholm with electricity. But the question for me, so there's collaboration everywhere, and probably energy communities will be one of the solutions we are going to push and maybe separate to the positive energy district, because still we are struggling to really see what could be a positive clean energy district in concretely, let's say, and how it could last, because we can do a pilot that can maybe reach positivity, but we don't know how it will behave in the long run. So the question for us, and I would like to go back to the replication, is, for me, at least for Ascend, it's how the cities can upscale the pilot project we have developed with their flows and their good aspects. So it's maybe more a question of organization. And I have a difference with Beryl. I don't think there's a difference. There's two models, one which is top down and the other one which is bottom up. It's both. But we need, and that's the solution we have called a urban orchestrator, an organization which is capable to, let's say, steer or conduct the process of transforming a district. Maybe positive, maybe not. We had a very interesting debate with Vienna in our last GA, and Vienna is not focused on positive in a district for many reasons. What is more important for them is to transform the district, to transform the existing buildings and to make them more, let's say, fit for the new energy system that is coming. And that's very big ambitions. So I think it's both. And the question is more what could be the proper organizations to conduct this process, not in one district, but in several of them. And that will require district planning, of course, because the cities need to better understand what districts they have to target. That's an excellent scale to work with citizens and to also coordinate with energy networks. And that's the thing we are really trying to push. And if we are working on the city scale, that will require more resources, more capacities, and more financing. And the question will be, if we do 10 districts at 500 millions, we have to 5 billions. How can it be done? Knowing that the cities will probably have to finance half of it, the rest will have to be found in the pockets of the household, investors, companies, and that kind of thing. And for that, we probably need to create some financial schemes. But yes, energy committees is one piece of the puzzle. It's something that is not easy to implement. And if we stay like it is, it will stay a bespoke solution, which is not replicable at scale, in my opinion. So we need to get support for that.
Thank you very much, Philippe. And speaking already about the support, I have asked you all to provide some kind of a summary and a recommendation in what is actually needed in order to make all of this true. Because our original question is what makes positive energy districts relevant, but also how can we ensure that all of the conditions are there in order to make them relevant and make them replicable. And we have the first recommendation from Ascent.
That's again me. Sorry for that. It's for Europe, not for other one. And I just summarize in three. We need speed because it's too long today. As Etienne mentioned, they started with something already built, not from scratch, and it takes more than 5 years to do it, and for many reasons. So we have to speed. We have to have a kind of 28 regime for cities to do that, and we need to, of course, we have the tools to do it, AI, digital twins, and that kind of thing. But still, we need to decrease or to accelerate the speed. Scale, of course, there's money outside, and we have big needs in terms of money. And the question is now how to maybe incentivize European capital markets to enable cities to find the resources needed to finance some solution at scale. And the last one, which is the trust, because we have it's very different from one member state to another member state. The trust between member state and cities is not always there, and particularly because cities can be seen as increasing public debt, being in competition to find public debt or to refinance public debt or to waste time. So there's the three recommendations I would like to give to the Commission.
Thank you. And we have Bybet.
Yes, so what I'd like to say is that, well, also what we heard from a lot of the speakers today is that the districts are still interpreted quite differently across many projects, across many cities. In some cases, a district is a collection of several buildings. In others, it's buildings plus other land uses. In BIPET, we opted for a broader definition of district, We covered traffic as well. We covered open spaces and, of course, buildings. So it's important, I think, to be clear what sort of district you are targeting, because depending on that, the sort of digital twin that you're going to build is either going to be building focused, or you might also want to include mobility in it. And as I try to emphasize, in Aarhus and in many other cities across Europe, transport still accounts for a large share of emissions. And we need to think how to account for mobility in a district, which is mobility is dynamic, but the district is static. So how do we include traffic in energy accounting? And I hope that cities agree that they cannot really achieve full climate neutrality unless transport is decarbonized. So that's the first point. Planning pads, even if they just mean buildings, is quite complex. So turn for help to tools like digital twins, so they can take a lot of guesswork out of your planning. But the journey is just beginning when you turn to digital twins, because you have to find data sets, and that's a challenge. You have to make sure that data is high quality. You have to make sure that data meets certain privacy regulations. For one of our use cases, for the 2D dashboard on building occupancy, the city approached some departments within the municipality to provide us building occupancy data, but then data owner said we cannot share it, because we cannot share it on a household level, because that's way too sensitive for you to model. If you want to use it, you have to aggregate it. And so then our agreement was that we will aggregate the building occupancy data on a 250 by 250 meter grid. So once you start working on digital twins, then you'll start facing a host range of other challenges. And I'm sure that Biped and other projects that are working on digital twins are happy to share our lessons learned from this experience, how to overcome them. And finally, make energy transition citizen-centric. I think by making your technologies relevant for grassroots communities, such as energy communities, that's one way in which you can engage citizens in the energy transition, because at least you will give them some insights into how they can use the tool to improve their decision making. In our case, it was a tool that helped them to determine if installing solar panels on top of their roof was too expensive, or if it was actually something they could afford over a longer period of time. So that's the 3 recommendations from Biped.
Thank you very much, Pavel. And I'm sure that there's also good recommendations from Expedite.
Yes, we are struggling in a city with a lot of new things which are coming technology-wise on us. We have 3D, 2D GIS systems, and another ones. And I believe in each city, their picture is completely different. And that's why I'm thinking that we need European-wide centralized systems or tools which all the cities in Europe could use. The same I would say about data available by cities. We have to think, I believe, in that direction also, because I personally see completely different stories from other European cities where cadastral data is completely different, for example, or another data stories. And another one would be more recommendation, more stick-wise, that cities should have some sort of obligations that politically decision making would be easier for cities, or would be some obligations which they have to do. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. And Cecilia, you can maybe give us some recommendations from Neutral Path that you can summarize in a short recommendation.
Sarah, thank you. Thank you, Veronica. Yeah, I think for summarizing here the perspective achieved from Neutropad, my main recommendation would be to create or maintain in the case and use in the case that the city has these multi-stakeholders governance structures as living labs or climate control labs or wherever, from which the cities that are the planners can be in contact with the different stakeholders. They are the capacity building between different technicals and aspects can flow. And also, it's very important for them use standardization aspects as the data that use for planning and also for the different aspects that finally and from these labs, from these structures, different regulatory frameworks can be proposed. So, for example, for energy communities has been very important, the change of some of the legislation aspects that could be driven for these tools. So this could be the recommendation, the main that could summarize and could be formed from these steps to others in the cities.
Thank you very much, Cecilia. And Benedetta, final recommendation?
Yes, thank you. So from Tips for Pet side and from our experience, we basically understood that the positive energy district cannot be delivered considering only the technical intervention, but cities need some kind of integrated framework that are capable of connecting different sectors, such as the energy system, the mobility planning, the economic aspect, and also the social acceptance and all the social engagement process. In fact, the citizen engagement and the co-creation activities are always essential because the transition should not be only technological, but also social and also organizational. And of course, yeah, the involvement and the collaboration with all the stakeholders, so a strong governance structure is required to plan and to develop and deploy the positive energy districts.
Thank you very much, Benedetta. I'm afraid that we ran out of time, so there's no more time for another set of questions and answers. But if there are any, do not hesitate to still post them in the chat, and then we can answer them in a follow-up on this webinar. I would like to thank all of our panel representatives. I would like to thank to all of the attendees. Wish you a great afternoon and looking forward to continuing the discussion on the matter of the positive energy districts in the future. Thank you. Have a nice day.